Today we are studying Surah number 78, Naba, and Ayahs 17 to 20, only 4 ayahs. But these are incredible 4 ayahs. In these ayahs, you are going to find talk about end of times and space travel and stars and portals, especially in Ayah 19. So you'll have to wait a little while till we get there. And more interestingly, we're going to talk about the scientific evidence behind these Islamic concepts of space and space travel. And let's see if the Islamic concepts live up to them. So the first ayah 17 is Inna yawm al-fasli kana miqata. Verily, the day of distinction or the day of decision has indeed its appointed time. So the word inna means verily, yawma means the day, kana means has indeed, and miqata is an appointed time. Now, the word fasl is interesting, so we are going to discuss it in detail in the next section. So again, inna yawm al-fasli kana miqata. So what is fasl? Fasl, although translated as day of distinction, is actually to separate two things from one another, like separating the grain from the husk, removing the shell or coating of something and getting to the right core of it. So if you look at the grains, they usually come in a coating, and that is the husk. When you remove them, what you get is something that's hidden inside. So all facts are going to be laid bare on the day of judgment. All secrets are going to be exposed, and that's why it's called the Yom al Fasl. Now, two facts are told here. Number one, the time for the day of judgment is fixed. And number two, what is implied is that the time is running out. Every day we are getting closer to the end of times. Next ayah, Yawma yunfakhu fi sure fatatuna afwaja. The day when the trumpet is sounded and you all come forward in submission in multitudes. So Yawma means the day. Yunfakhu fi sur means when the trumpet is sounded, and we're going to discuss it in detail what exactly that trumpet is. And fatatun means you all come forward in submission. Just one word, but it has a lot of meaning to it. All of you coming forward in submission. And afwaja means in multitudes of crowds. In Urdu language, they call an army a fauj, and many armies are called afwaja. But the main meaning is multitudes and crowds. So let's go back to this word asur. Yoma yunfakhu fi sur fatatun afwaja. Sur is actually a horn which was used as a trumpet, and yunfakhu fi means to blow into it. And fatatuna, we already discussed, means coming forward in submission. So who is going to blow this horn? And that is an angel known as Israfil, which in English language is known as Archangel Raphael or Raphael. And he's one of the four archangels: Mikael, known as Michael; Jibrail, known as Gabriel; and Azrael is known as Azrael in Hebrew and Arabic. And when the trumpet is blown, all people come out. And now the most interesting part. وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا. After the trumpet is blown, what's happening? And when the skies are opened and become as if there were wide flung gates. So وَفُتِحَت means and when are opened. As-sama means skies, and fakanat abwaba means they would be like wide flung gates. How on earth is that going to happen? There are going to be gates in the sky or in heaven. And this is the most interesting part, and that's where all the scientific scrutiny would come in, and we'll talk about the concepts of how the skies would become gates. But before we do that, let's talk about the concept of heavens and skies in earth. Questions are there gates in the skies and heavens? What does Islam say about it? And what does science say about it? So let's compare the Islamic claims of what the skies and their structures are to the scientific evidence we have. So, gates of heaven, the Islamic view. There are four things that we have to know about. Firstly, that there are seven heavens, seven skies, which are all connected to each other by gates. Second, the nearest heaven, Sama ad-Dunya it's called, has a gate. It even has a name called Bab al-Hafaza, and even a guardian custodian angel known as Ismail, but we don't have to go into those details. And the third thing is that angels move through these gates in and out. So things enter into the gate and come out. But the fourth claim that Islam has about gates in heaven is very important, that the nearest gate in our heaven, sky or space is protected against intruders by stars which are used as missiles against them. So there's a whole defense system in which stars are flung out. And I'm going to share with you where exactly this comes in the Quran. And it's in Surah Al Mulk, ayah number 5, the 67th Surah. And it says, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لَهُمْ عَذَابَ السَّعِيرِ. And indeed, we have adorned the skies nearest to the earth with masabih, which is lights simulating daylight. People call them stars, and made them missiles to fling at eavesdropping devils. Now let's look at the masabi first. Why did Allah not say stars? Why did He say masabi? Because the message here is that the stars emit the same light which the sun does, just like daylight. And in their own solar systems, they are the suns. That's something we did not know 1400 years ago. But more interestingly is the claim that they are flung like missiles. So let's go from number 1 to 4 and see all of these claims of Islam and see how science proves them. Number 1, the seven heavens are connected to each other by gates. National Geographic, 12th of April 2020, it says that, like part of a Russian doll, our universe may be part of a larger universe. So there's a universe inside a universe which has got another one inside it, and so on and so forth. Islamic concept of seven universes, one inside of the other, just like a Russian doll, part of a larger universe, and they get bigger and bigger as you go up to the seventh heaven. The second claim, the nearest heaven, Sama ad Dunya, has a gate connecting it to the heaven above. So let's see if we are able to find that gate by our technology. New Scientist, 27th of April 2007, David Shiga, an astronomer, says, could black holes be portals to another universe? And National Geographic, 12th April 2010, reports that black holes are actually a tunnel between universes. So this has been proved that yes, there is a gate connecting Sama Dunya to the universe above, and that gate is a black hole. The third claim of Islam, very interesting, there is movement through these gates in both directions. So things go in and things come out from the two heavens to each other. Traditionally, that was not the case. We thought about black holes. If black holes are the gateways to another universe, then we thought nothing comes out of a black hole. But in 2018, Phil Plait, one of the astronomers writing in an astronomy journal, says black holes shoot out neutrinos like cosmic bullets. So the claim of Islam is proved here again that things enter into these gateways, the black holes, and they also come out of these gateways and black holes from this universe to another, like the neutrinos. The fourth claim, the very interesting one, stars being flung out like missiles, as Surah Al Mulk says, that the nearest gate in our heaven has stars flung out of their orbits like missiles. Let's see what science says about that. For a long time, our telescopes have been pointing in the direction of the heaven and looking at the black holes and the stars around them, and they found exactly what Quran says. Journal Astronomy Now, 13th of November 2019, it says Milky Way's central black hole, Sagittarius A, flings star out of galaxy, and the star's name is S5HVS1, 2.3 times the size of Sun, and it's flung out of the central black hole, the nearest gateway that our heaven has, at a velocity of more than 6 million kilometer per hour. That is pretty fast missile. And scientists now believe that many of these stars are being flung out of the galaxy. The interesting fact is that all of this information that we have now, it is coming from our terrestrial and celestial telescopes and very advanced machines and computers. So we're looking at the heavens and we are seeing these massive black holes, and we are seeing the stars are like the sun, and we are seeing stars being flung out of their orbits. But Islam has given us this information a long time ago. 1400 years ago, there were no telescopes, terrestrial or celestial. We didn't have the Hubble telescope at that time, definitely not. Islam is telling us about stars being flung out of their orbits near these gateways, and talking about the gateways and how movements are taking place between this universe and the other, and talking about the stars more importantly, that they are masabih, they produce the same kind of light that the sun does, the daylight. They produce daylight in their own systems, and they are not just these far off celestial or celestial objects, but they are just like the sun. Now, coming to the next ayah, وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا. Very interesting. The skies will be open as if there are many gates in them. Simplified meaning. But how would the whole of the sky become gateways? We know there are occasional black holes, but are all the all the sky going to be filled up with black holes? To answer this question, let's look how a black hole is formed. A black hole is formed when a star collapses. Now, right now, when you point your telescopes, whether there are terrestrial telescopes or celestial telescopes, the Hubble or whatnot, you see stars all over the sky. Our universe is full of stars. But what's going to happen at the day of judgment? Allah Ta'ala says that all the stars are going to be destroyed. They would collapse. So when all the stars collapse, each and every star, especially the massive ones, they will create a black hole. So what you look at the sky now is not how it's going to look like. It's going to look like gateways, black holes. It is going to look like abwaba. Fakanat abwaba. Exactly the description which Allah Ta'ala has given, that the whole of heaven will look like. Next ayah is ayah number 20. وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. And the mountains, when the mountains are set in motion as if they had been an illusion. So let's go word by word. Suyirat means to set in motion. We know uva means and suyirat means set in motion. Al-jibalu means the mountains. And fakan saraba, we'll discuss it in a bit of detail. So let's come to the section of fakanat saraba. وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. Fakanat means as if, and saraba means they had been an illusion. The word saraba comes from the word sarab, which means a mirage. Like when you go in the desert and you see water entry, and when you get near, it does not exist. So the mountains would be moving as if they are an illusion, just like you see that shaky illusion far off in the desert. That's how it's going to look. So how is that going to happen? These big mountains, which a little while earlier in the same surah we discussed, they are like pegs holding the tectonic plates in place with deep roots 15 to 20 times the height of the mountains. How are they going to move and they become a mirage? And the answer is we do not know yet. We do not know scientifically how it's going to happen, what the mechanism would be. But we have to remember this Allah who is talking about the mountains looking like a mirage and setting in motion is the same Allah who 1400 years ago told us about stars being flung out of their orbits near the black holes, the gateways of movement through the black holes, and that the stars were like the sun, structures like the sun. So, on that note, inshallah, next time we are going to talk about some more amazing things mentioned in the Quran. Why is hell called Jahannam in Islam? How cold it can be in hell? How long would people stay in hell? And what the controversy is about this? Some people say they'll stay forever, and others say no, they won't. And what is the answer to it? And what confusions have developed about hell in the past 1400 years? Most importantly, how Allah is merciful to all of His creation, even those who end up in hell. So that's the interesting part that we are going to discuss, that how Allah's mercy is present everywhere, even when people are ending up in hell. Thank you very much for listening. A very special thanks for those who made this effort possible and who initiated it and encouraged me to initiate. May Allah give them reward, and may Allah give us all reward in this life and the hereafter. Ameen Summa Ameen. Please share this with as many people as you can. The last 10 days of Ramadan, there's a lot of ajr, a lot of reward for it. And subscribe to the YouTube channel there are more surahs and more ayahs which are discussed there, and please do give your feedback on how to improve this effort. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.